Alright, well, I don't have any fancy fly rod workshop with all this crazy tech because I'm not a business. I'm just a guy that has a normal 6 to 3 job and does this for fun, for himself, for his friends. I don't even have a business, so I don't make money. I actually lose money, but I figured I'd have some fun with it. I've spent lots of money learning this crap out on my own through trial and error, the internet, burning stuff out, realizing that's not what you do, buying it again, trying it again, etc. So I figured for today, I would do a set of Ford Fusion taillights, and I figured I'd show you what I know to do in terms of using a Dremel and cutting open some taillights. Obviously this varies, right, based on the design of the taillight, how complex it is. It would be awesome to have an ultrasonic cutter, but I don't. Again, I'm not a business. I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars on a device that would really serve no efficient purpose for me doing this. However, Fusion taillights. So what we're going to do, and I know, again, I don't have fancy equipment, so do the best I can with the camera I got. We're going to Dremel between the red lens and the gray bezel. It's pretty easy 90% of the way around, except here you see it gets real thin, real close. So we're going to lose a lot of material there with the Dremel. Again, why it is beneficial to have a ultrasonic cutter if you can afford it, because you do this for a living. However, these are pretty easy to open. Not that I've opened many different taillights, but this is only the second set I've done, and I think they're pretty easy, I guess. So that being said, let's start. What I'm using, right, is going to just be a thin cutting wheel, and we're going to make small cuts all the way around until we get pretty close to getting in there. So you don't want to just jam it all the way in and, you know, rip it around, because what we don't want to do is see any evidence of cut plastic, melted plastic, nicks in the lens, which can be very easily done because this lens is fully see-through all the way around the edges as well, right where we're cutting, right? So let's give it a shot. Alright, I'll let that cool for a second. But one thing to note, the technique I like to use is keep a static position with your thumb to go around. That way you try to keep the same position of the cut all the way around. If you don't have that support there, you know, you could slip. You're going to be making cuts that weave all over the place. We want this to be as clean and as thin of a cut as possible. That allows us to have the most material afterwards to kind of plastic weld it back together with a soldering iron or a hot knife, whatever you have. Now that this is kind of cooled, let's try to pull these pieces apart so I can maybe show you what I got going on here. Always wear gloves too, or else just simple pressure on the freaking razor blade will slice your damn finger open. That's awesome. Not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but all I'm really doing, right, is keeping as close to the gray bezel as I can as I go around. And I can already see, just from nicking it a little bit, I can see some light getting let through down there. So we're making good progress. Let's continue. Alright, so we did our first pass all the way around, and next what I like to do is basically go around and get rid of any of these hardened pieces of plastic tidbits. They're just going to kind of be in the way. You do want to keep the ones that are stuck on the actual lens or bezel themselves once you split it open, however. That will help for extra material to kind of rebond our pieces. But all these hardened kind of tidbits up top, just use your finger, kind of go around and clean it up. And then what we'll do is kind of get in there with a screwdriver, clean it up some more, and kind of see where we're at. See what sections we need to do a second pass. Kind of up here, didn't really even touch up there because it's literally so compressed into the lens, there's not even a gap. Again, ultrasonic cutter would be nice. So I wanted to show you. So up here, where the clear lens basically meets, you can see, because it's a clear lens, you can see the marks here of the melted plastic from the Dremel going in. Can't really avoid that. However, it's not going to much matter because we're going to prime this when we reseal it with black adhesive anyway, and it's just going to kind of blend and look like the whole border was black. So it works out, but that does happen, and I'm sure on some tail lights you can't have that happen, which again is probably where the ultrasonic cutter would come into play. I will also mention that I'm sure on some tail lights you can't separate it right where the lens is. Definitely on, you know, lenses that are fully clear, you're going to need to actually open these from down lower here at the actual, you know, frame of this, where you just kind of separate the whole back half. So I got rid of all the tidbits with my fingers, and now what I'm doing is I'm kind of just putting a screwdriver in between and seeing how much play we got, seeing where it's really separated and where we have to give a second or even third pass. So you can see we have movement, and you might even hear some of the pieces kind of breaking apart. Again, you don't want to put too much pressure. We clearly have sections that needs to have another pass. I'll do that now, and then what we'll probably have to do is use then a razor blade to kind of get the last little tidbit pieces, because you don't really need the Dremel to, you know, you have a higher risk of screwing up when you keep using the Dremel to try to separate, you know, your last remaining small adhesions of plastic. Alright, so we did a second pass, and now what we're doing is kind of going around, kind of slightly twisting in between the gaps. What we don't want to happen is to crack the damn lens. So when you hit a spot that does not move, hit it again. Whether it's another pass with the Dremel, or you take the razor blade. I'm going to not put on a glove again because I'm smart like that, and just kind of nick away at the lens on little pieces that are still holding the two halves together. You can see we're really getting it open. See all that movement? Alright, so I went around with the razor blade, nicked all the little last pieces of plastic, and you should be able to see and hopefully hear the lens fully starting to separate. At this point, you don't want to rush it, right? It's not worth all that work and then get excited and try to just Hulk smash it open. If we have to go around again with the blade, we will. You can see there's one little piece of plastic. Hold it on right here. I'll probably get it with a screwdriver. And there you have it. Opened. And I guess tomorrow I'll start on the second half of this video, or not really a half, but the next segment on taking all the internals apart, going over what all the OEM stuff does inside, and then ripping all that apart or modifying it to our liking to get some animated sequentials going on in here and show modes and all that good stuff. Until then, peace.